Hey guys, welcome to Forever Fandoms, and today we are going to be talking about Shadowhunters. It airs next week on ABC Family, soon to be Freeform. And I'm super excited for this release, and I've been meaning to make this video for a while, just talking about all things Shadowhunters and just kind of what do we know so far, and I never really got the chance to do that. So I'm glad I'm doing it now because we have a lot more information about the show and a lot of people a lot more amped for it. So yeah, just enjoy this video talking about all things Shadowhunters. So let's get started. Alright, so let's talk about our cast. The Shadowhunters cast, I think, is a great group of people who have such a great chemistry, and I think that they have what it takes to make this show successful and hopefully last through all 6 books, which is huge if they're able to do that. And I think that they can, because they have a great chemistry, which I think is a huge thing for me, because I love seeing the fact, especially before the show airs, you have to be able to convince people to watch the show, and in order to do that, I think it's helpful to see that all these actors have good chemistry and that they're all hanging out and that they're all having fun and that you can see them as themselves other than actually their characters. And I think the biggest thing that really convinced me of that, of their chemistry and the fact that they're going to be able to do this show well and that everything's going to work out and that, you know, like, to not be so worried about it, is the werewolf live stream when they did the first one and Harry periscoped it. That was huge for me because I didn't watch it live, but I saw it on YouTube the next morning, and that's when I was like really majorly convinced, because you had all of your actors and everybody cast, and that's where you kind of like get to see them just as themselves and you get to more know them better, and that was huge for me. And so it was such a great live stream, and you have to check it out because I found it on YouTube, and so I put it in the playlist for the show, so go and check that out because it's such a great live stream. And then the making of Shadowhunters on ABC Family, they aired that December 6th. That was another huge thing that convinced me of their chemistry and the fact that they're going to make the show work, because you're getting to see how everything comes together and how it's going to work out, which I think is huge. Seeing like the cast chemistry, because they had stuff where they did pranks and behind the scenes stuff, and seeing them all work together and everything was like really, it was huge. And it's a really, really great, like, I think it's like 20 minutes long without commercials, but it was a huge thing to kind of get to be like, this, you know, cast is going to be able to deliver well. And from all like the previews and snippets that we've seen in advertisements and stuff, you can also tell that they can play their parts really well and that they know what they're doing, and that the casting directors pick the best of the best people out there. And so I'm super, super proud of them from what they've done thus far. And I'm super excited to see the first episode. And I think that we have a really great cast and a phenomenal group of people. And no matter what judgments people made beforehand, I think a lot of people now are like really like confident in all these actors and really hoping and rooting for them that they'll be able to do well and that they'll be able to deliver and help the show be more successful than the movie was. Alright, so let's talk plot. So when I think it's totally two different cases when you're adapting a book to a movie and a book to a television show. Because when you're doing a book to a movie, it's just like, okay, this one book is all one movie. You know, it's really straightforward. You just kind of have to figure out what are you going to cut, what are you not going to cut, and all of that. But whereas when you're adapting a book to a television show, you have to figure out, okay, well, how are we going to split split the book up into episodes? Is like one season going to be an entire book, or are we just going to kind of mix it, which is what Shadowhunters is doing, you know, where do we want to be the dividing point for like each episode, and how are we going to be able to add plot twists into this and make it interesting for the fans who've already read the book and already know what's going down. So that's a huge thing, and I think that's like a big point where it's like how they adapt this is going to be huge for all the fans of the book, like if they want to watch it or not, because they have to keep it interesting and they have to be able to make it interesting for the people who aren't fans of the book and who've never read the books, that they have to be able to be intrigued by it. So adapting this is definitely something that I think is a lot more difficult, and that's why I was worried for it being a television show. Because there's so much extra stuff that has to go into it that you really don't have to worry about with a movie, because you're just like straightforward. It's a lot more straightforward. So that was a huge thing that I was worried about. But I think that everything's definitely going to work out and they know what they're doing. And with regards to plot twists and things that they're adding in there, if you watch the making of Shadowhunters on ABC Family when they aired that in the beginning of December, that's when it kind of really, it was another huge thing that secured for me, like, you know, that this show is going to be faithful and that it's going to do its job in adapting faithfully and making things interesting. Because essentially they're sticking to the main essence of all of the books and the main messages of all of them and getting the biggest stuff in there. And with that, they also have to make it interesting. So they are adding plot twists and things in there. So people who are fans of the books can be like, oh, well, okay, how would you rather be as a fan of the books and then watching the episodes? Would you rather be like, oh, I'm excited to see next week's episode because this is what is going to happen next? And, you know, that's one of my favorite scenes from the book, or being like, okay, I'm excited to see next week's episode because they put this plot twist on it and I know what's going to happen and it's nothing that I can't predict, and it makes you more interested to watch, because if you know everything that's going to happen, you can be like, okay, that's what happens this episode, that's what happens this episode. You know, it's exciting to have plot twists into it and to make it a little bit more interesting. And I think that the plot twists that they're going to add, my only huge condition with it is that you can put the plot twist in there, but as long as you end up where the book ended up, then that's the hugest thing for me. Because I think the biggest things that they're changing that, for me, the first thing that can come to mind is with Alec, because one of the things is like, who is Alec going to end up with? Because they're doing like a whole prearranged marriage thing where his mom is like, you have to marry this girl, and everything. And, you know, obviously Alec likes Magnus. And so that's sort of like a plot twisty-ish sort of thing in there. And so as long as Alec does end up with Magnus, that's my main concern. Because as long as it's like, okay, we have the prearranged marriage, whatever, that's going to get put in there. But as long as Alec is like, I need to be with Magnus, and he ends up with Magnus, then that's what my biggest concern is that the plot twists lead to what the book establishes in the end. But other than that, I think that plot-wise is going to work really well, and that they're going to be fun and exciting episodes, and that they're going to be interesting for everybody to watch. So let me read you the synopsis for the first episode. So, Shadowhunters follows Clary Frey, who finds out on her birthday that she is not who she thinks she is, but rather comes from a long line of Shadowhunters, human-angel hybrids who hunt down demons. Now thrown into the world of demon hunting after her mother is kidnapped, Clary must rely on the mysterious Jace and his fellow Shadowhunters, Isabel and Alec, to navigate this new dark world. With their best friend Simon in tow, Clary must now live among fairies, warlocks, vampires, and werewolves to help find answers that could help her find her mother. Nothing is as it seems, including her close friend family Luke, who knows more than he is letting on, as well as the enigmatic warlock Magnus Bade, who could hold the key to unlocking Clary's past. So that is the synopsis for the first episode of Shadowhunters, called The Mortal Cup. And so basically in this episode you're probably going to be seeing Pandemonium, and I think actually in the television show Magnus owns Pandemonium, whereas in the book he kind of is distant towards Pandemonium and he kind of thinks it's all ridiculous. But I mean, I think that actually makes more sense, if anything, for him to own it. But yeah, and so you get to meet Clary, Simon, Izzy, Alec, Jace, Clary's mother, and Luke, and etc. And Magnus. I think you get to meet Magnus. But yeah, and that essentially shows you how far you're going into. You're going to get to go for each episode, because each episode is only an hour long, and so you're kind of able to see how far into the book they're able to go with that 1 hour. But I mean, that summary pretty much is straightforward from the book. She doesn't find out that she's a Shadowhunter on her birthday, though, in the book, because the greenhouse scene happens on her birthday. But they should somehow, hopefully, be able to fit the greenhouse scene in and make it make sense. Because that's oh my god, that's a huge scene. They need to have the greenhouse scene. And I'm just realizing how many different scenes we're going to get to see now, and it's just, like, killing me. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So, I mean, I think that's pretty much it for this video. So, like, comment, subscribe, and tell me what you're excited about for Shadowhunters. If there's something, like a particular scene you're excited for, or a particular character you're excited to see, or just tell me your thoughts about this video, Shadowhunters, whatever, down below. Oh, and another thing. I was thinking about doing a group DM sort of thing where on Instagram or Twitter, if you're interested, go to my Instagram or Twitter. They're both the same user, at Hungry for FOUR books. And on my recent Instagram post and on the pinned tweet on my Twitter, if you retweet that pinned tweet, then I'll add you to a DM on Twitter where we'll basically be talking during every Tuesday while the show is airing. And so you're like having a conversation and talking to people who are watching the episode at the same time, sort of thing. And you're not just tweeting it out and sending it out there for, everybody. It's actually a group of people who are all talking. And I wanted to set that up, and nobody has responded to it. But yeah, if you're interested, totally check out my Instagram or Twitter. And yeah, and hopefully I can set up a group DM sort of thing where we can all hang out while all the episodes are airing on Tuesdays. But that's pretty much it. So, love you guys. And Shadowhunters next week. I'm so excited. And this week also, I'm going to be talking about Girl Meets Sludge/STEM because I got to see that episode taped and it is airing on Friday. So, give you guys some background information on that. And then I'll talk about it when it airs on Friday. So, love you guys. And bye.